Back to AI, using AI to create compelling content for nonprofits. All right, so AI, right, has brought us all a lot of different feelings, right? Everybody's having a lot of feelings about this. We're either skeptical, we're excited, or we're very nervous about it. The point is, we're having a human experience around AI, just like we've had with all kinds of other, major changes in society, like the dawn of the internet. We could even go back to the Industrial Revolution, right? In terms of major changes. So why does this make us have all of these feelings? Because for the fact that just like other major changes, it's unknown. We don't know what's going to happen with AI. We don't know where we're going with this thing. We don't know what the future holds. There's a lot of factors that are making it scary in that way. It messes with our identity, especially, like let's use writers, for example, other creative, we've got actors, we've seen what happened with actors, we've seen what happened with writers in Hollywood. That was kind of the most, the most, we saw that the most in media of any other industry so far, the reactions and the threat and all of that. So it really messes with our identity. It's a loss of control. It's hard to keep up with how fast everything is going and the speed of progression. And, that scares us too. That causes anxiety and fear in us human beings. We also have excitement, right? It's like a mix of things. It's fear, it's excitement, it's unknown. It's unknown for something bad going to happen. It's unknown for what good things could happen. And how could it affect, our identity or your own identity? I love this quote by Steve Jobs. Technology alone is not enough. It's technology married with liberal arts, married with the humanities that yields us the results that make our hearts sing. So Steve Jobs was big on art and creativity, design and art and technology. And that's what drove him to create the Macintosh and everything else that he visualized and brought to us. So I like to think about that and how it's a partnership. To me, AI, generative AI and the possibilities that come with it, it's about partnering with it. And it's about how can it augment and enhance what we as humans are capable of doing. So generative AI, and one of the reasons I'm here talking about it today is because I know I'm my gut check is that this isn't a trend. This isn't a one-time initiative. This is like the internet. It's here, and it's it's going to become, and it is becoming very quickly part of the fabric of our society. And it's going to integrate the very similar way that the internet has integrated into our lives. So here, let's see. So this is a chart, a pretty scientific chart. So I actually don't totally understand how to read density and things like that. But I do know visually that this chart shows us. This was a study that was done in a university setting, and it's showing the increase in productivity and quality of AI assisted work being done, content being created. And so the blue is the control group. The green is using GPT only, and the red is using GPT with a lot of human augmentation. And so it's showing us that the productivity quotient here is great. It's AI, ChatGPT, and other tools like that really have the ability to help us be a lot more efficient and productive. And we live in a super fast-paced society, so who doesn't need help? Being able to keep up with the rapid progression of our technology, I believe it's really here to help if we're able to use it in a way that is going to, be for the good of humanity. Some of the things when we kind of narrow down to talking a little bit about content, and specifically content, what I've found it to be extremely helpful with is things like creative brainstorming and even problem solving, overcoming creativity blocks. Sometimes I've used it even to sort of challenge some of my mental models, to sort of check my thinking, so to speak, to kind of get reality checks on things. I've used it heavily to synthesize research findings. So instead of having to go around and around the internet and do all sorts of searches, I found it really, really efficient and helpful to be able to gather lots of different research in a very narrow and specific context. And that's all because of prompting. And so we'll talk just a little bit more about that later. adapting and versioning content. So, taking my own content and, figuring out how to put it into different formats, adapting it for different uses and for different contexts and for different audiences. And then, honestly, I've used it sometimes for coaching and therapy, just facilitating self-reflection and introspection. And so kind of using it in an almost meditative way as well. And then developing personal brand strategies. I've used it to, just to kind of help me, be able to take my own thought leadership and my own ideas and thinking and get those out there, get that out on social media, which is something. A lot of work with AI assistance is what I'm trying to say. And it's really a lot of work without it. But it's kind of like where we are in our society today. Is that, we as brands and nonprofits getting out messages, getting out our brand and our being able to communicate to our audiences. It's a major task these days. We have to be omnipresent. We really have to put ourselves out there and be visible. And we're just human, and we only have so much time in the day. And so it really can help with, in terms of our content and our expertise and the specific topics that are special and unique to each of us, either as a brand like an agency like ours or a nonprofit. It can really help with scalability, again, to be more efficient and productive, have better decision making that's based on the most data that you can get. And also having that data be highly, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, contextualized, really focused, and not too broad. In terms of customer intelligence, for example, really helps us narrow that down. And practicing and getting into using AI and even just experimenting with it is going to add to any future proofing of our own, individually, and also as brands, nonprofits, companies, et cetera. So I talked a little bit about, how much more omnipresent and visible that we are required to be as professionals and as content creators and people with something to say and something to share and value to offer. Are the buyers, if you will, or donors, members, they are more sophisticated now. And, we as an audience of any brand, we expect intuitive experiences. We expect two-way communication. Your audience wants to see, the content being very personalized and tailored to them. Again, being omnipresent is important, and getting the right content at the right time is super important as well. And so this is where AI can really, generative AI is really a wonderful tool, I think, to help us to do these things that are otherwise somewhat overwhelming. And so a little bit about just a little bit about the science of AI. I won't go too much into it here, but it's basically, you've got the brain, which I don't want to anthropomorphize. Sorry, I don't know. I can't get that word out right now, but turn AI into a human, because it is so not a human. It's based on computation. It's based on algorithms. It's modeled after brain patterns, but that doesn't make it human in any way, shape, or form. It's not meant to be sentient. It's not meant at all to be able to have thoughts or emotions. It is feeding on data, basically. It's feeding and being trained on data. Being trained is probably a better word, because it's not just gobbling up. It's not like Pac-Man and just gobbling up and regurgitating. That's not how it works. It is being trained, and it is essentially a very high-level, fast data processor. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with when we're dealing with AI. And who we are is the heart. We're the heart and the soul of the equation. We're the heart and soul of the partnership. And so that's really important to keep in mind, because we're the ones with the feelings, okay? We're the ones that bring the emotion, the spark, the passion. We're the ones that are bringing that to our work with AI. And so, remember those feelings we talked about earlier on, the kind of feelings and reactions that we're having. Well, those can seem chaotic and uncomfortable, but they're also what helps make our content authentic, rich with storytelling, rich with experience. And those are things that AI does not bring to the table. And if you've experimented or even used it for creating content or for other, relevant purposes like that, you'll understand this. You'll see, like, you'll even come to sort of laugh at it and say, "Oh, AI, you're so robotic," basically, in some respects when it comes to the feelings. It's really a highly skilled but very literal-minded assistant. So we're not talking about someone who or something. See, I always want to kind of turn it into give it human qualities, but it is. It's really very literal. It's very conversational, and that's why, for example, some of the tools like ChatGPT, which was the first tool that came out, has the word chat in it because it's very much like messaging. If you haven't used it yet, you'll see. But it's like you're chatting with a bot, if you will. But this is a really super conversational, smart bot that can process your input and come back with very highly contextualized, layered responses that work with you. And so we're where us humans are the ones who bring the poetry into it. Okay, so we're bringing our heart and souls into it. We're bringing our brands, we're bringing our topics, our stories into it. And AI is helping us, enrich that with data, with ideation. And so together, there's really a lot of potential to create great content with it. And so, one of the biggest concerns, lots and lots of people are super worried about, like, crappy content coming out, and just the internet and social media being filled up with crap, right? The way I look at it, we've already had that. We already have crap. There's already either crap or quality, and so it's just going to be more of the same. We're either going to have crap or quality, and so it's a matter of garbage in, garbage out. So it's what you put into it that makes the content that you do create with, and enabled or assisted by generative AI. You're the one who's going to make or break it. And so let's get down to the tips that I have for you today in terms of creating compelling content using AI. We're not getting into AI, like, we're not actually going to look at any of the tools, but I will mention I've used ChatGPT. I've started to work with Gemini. There's one called Claude that's fairly sophisticated. And so really it's all personal preferences on what tools to use. There's so much to explore out there, and it's just increasing more and more every day. I tend to just kind of stick with the big ones right now. I also haven't really delved too much into images because I haven't seen great things yet with that. That is, I think, way behind, personally, in my opinion, way behind the text generative AI. And so I'm not super comfortable with images yet. However, there's a lot of AI that you can use to help you process your images and videos, for example. So for example, there's a tool out there where you can, it's called video.ai, vidyo.ai, and you can put a longer form video into there, and it will break it up into logical, smaller form videos that you can use on social media or for other marketing purposes. So this is really great. So, like, let's say you're a nonprofit organization and you have conference videos, for example. You could conceivably take those videos and repurpose them into smaller short form videos. You can edit them, you can add captions, you can add stickers and text and other things. So you can really take something that's a long speech at a podium or a talk at a podium, and you can actually edit it and manipulate it using AI for the efficiency of it, and to help you get the word out there, to help you get that out there, to help you be able to utilize that content. So a lot of using AI for content is about repurposing content too, taking content that you've used before, maybe something that's popular or it performs well, and you can use ChatGPT, you can use these tools, the text tools, and you can use video tools and image tools to be able to repurpose this content. So that's not even on this list right here, but that is probably the lowest hanging fruit, I think, when it comes to content creation using AI. So tips to, like, if you're wondering, like, where do I begin? How do I make sure that I'm using these tools in a way that's really going to generate quality, compelling content? So these are the tips I have for you today. I'm going to go through this list a little quickly, and then I'll expound on a couple of them. first and foremost, before you do anything, and really this is for marketing as well. This is for any kind of effort that you put out to market and be visible and communicate online, is to define your core brand identity. So this is so super important because you want to make sure that you're really resonating with your audience, that you're not just sort of thinking about your brand in a silo and kind of looking at yourselves and not thinking about how your audience is looking at you or your organization. So even if you have a mission, you probably have, if you're a nonprofit organization or an association, you have a mission, you have probably a set of core values, you have some things that you have in your organization that you're thinking, yep, this is our core brand identity. Well, it's worth going back and revisiting that to make sure that it includes, very relevant messaging that will resonate with your audience. Make sure that you know who your audience is, and that's number 2, to make sure that you have developed detailed persona profiles of who your ideal constituents are. So, who's your ideal donor, and where do they hang out online? What are their challenges? What are their interests? What are their passions? What value are you bringing to their lives? And why is it that they want to connect with you? So these are all things that really have to be solidly in place, or that I recommend they be solidly in place and thorough and up to date before you even are creating content, or before you spend more time creating content. Having these foundational pieces in place is really what's going to leverage and bring you the greatest ROI when you are expending all of the resources to create that content. Along with that, once you have those things in place, we recommend developing a content mission statement. So it's not your mission of your organization or your message, but it's more, what are we doing with our content? So what is that mission that our content has? And so that can be really helpful in getting really clear and identifying what kind of content and what topics that you're going to work on in your content. When it comes to using generative AI, establishing a content playbook is super important. Standard operating procedures. So having a standard operating procedure for when we're using AI, how are we going to use it? So this is really big, right? And we just, in the last few days, we put out a download, which is a guide to adopting AI in your organization. And so that guide can give you some ideas in terms of, and if you haven't gotten the guide yet, or you want to know where it is, we'll put it in the comments for you. I'm just going to chat it over here to my group because it's really brand new, and I just want to make sure everybody knows exactly where to find it. Okay, that's not the right one. That was the brand compass, which is another great tool that we provide to clients. Is we go through the brand compass process with our clients sometimes. And if they don't, that's for typically organizations that don't necessarily have a really solid one or haven't really come back and revisited it and made sure that it's really marketing ready and up to date. All right. So, but what I was talking about, I was sharing with my team, and they can put it in the comments section, the piece on an adoption strategy. So we have a guide that helps you get started with how to adopt using generative AI in your organization so that you can be ready. You can be set up, and you could have thought already about, things like, I know a concern is really ethics and responsibility and copyright and all of that kind of stuff. So you can think those things out ahead of time. And, by the way, don't worry about that stuff. It's going to come out naturally in your plan, just like it comes out naturally in your mission and in your work, right? I've said recently that the nonprofit sector is the most, is full of the most responsible, ethical people. And that's how they got into that work. That's how you get into that work. And so trust that, and don't worry. You're going to know how to leverage AI through the lens of using it responsibly and ethically and all of that kind of stuff. So don't worry about that. And you can bake that into your playbook and your adoption strategy. And so that will all be in place before you actually go to making content, right? To really making content. In the playbook, we talk about setting up an experimentation lab. So while you're creating that playbook, you can set up an experiment lab to get going, because the best way to learn and know how you want to use generative AI for content is to actually get in there and do it, and practice and experiment with it and have some fun with it. It's really important to have some fun with it. And from there, you'll start to learn how to do the prompt engineering, which I'm sure you've heard this term, or maybe already know it, and you've been building your own prompt engineering. I think it's different for each and every person to some extent. I think prompt engineering is somewhat personal. It's what works for you, though there's a lot of advice out there on this, and there are a lot of different techniques and things you can use. If you use, say, the paid version of ChatGPT, for example, you will have I think what they're calling it is a GPT store, which I don't think it's actually monetized yet, but it's where people are creating custom prompt processes that you can pick up and utilize for all sorts of different things. So prompt engineering is going to be an ongoing learning experience. Let's just insert that here as a takeaway. Seriously, when it comes to all of these things, because AI, the internet, marketing, all the tasks and things there is to do, it's easy to give up. It's really easy to want to give up. If you're not seeing your results, you're not, getting those donations. Donations have gone down, everywhere for the last few years. Membership retention, membership acquisition, these are all super, super challenging things, right? And it can be frustrating to show up to our jobs day in and day out and be disappointed, to, put really hard work and a lot of creativity into things and have them not work out. Well, that is another super compelling reason to leverage generative AI, because it can help you hang in there. It can help you generate new ideas. It can help you iterate. It can help you, not just give up and scrap something, but to get ideas on how to pivot and to repurpose content. So don't give up. Don't give up on learning generative AI. It's a big deal. It's a super, super huge, big deal. So if you're annoyed and frustrated because you already have enough on your plate, and you're already juggling and spinning plates in the air, and you already don't have enough, time to get everything done in your nonprofit, you're spinning a lot of plates. You're an executive director, you're a marketing director, and you have a million things to do, and you're like, oh, great, one more thing for me to do, right? So this isn't going to happen overnight. You're not going to figure it all out overnight. And I love it. My team is sending me these awesome gifts. Never going to give up, never going to let you down. I love that. I wish I could play that right now. Anyway, so what I was saying was that don't give up. That's the message here today. This is my third go at going live again after being cut off twice by my office internet, which usually is pretty stable. So, that's actually, I'm really glad that happened, because now we're talking about the real deal here. We're getting into our feelings. I'm getting into my feelings. We're talking about, the human experience that we're having in doing all of this work. And that's why I'm here talking to you today about AI. I'm not selling AI. I'm not, I just want everybody, I just want as many nonprofits, small businesses. I know some of my small business friends are here, either watching now or watching later. All of us who are trying to do something different in the world, whether it's through a 501(c) or it's through a for-profit business, we're all trying to do something. And now I'm being told that they think it's out again. Oh, please, no. But if it is, that's fine too. So, all right. Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to get to the end of this before. Okay, this is what I really wanted to share. Okay, listen to me about this. All right. So when it comes to your content, you want to be creating clarity, relevance, and value. This is what you want to check the content you want to check that your content, these are some key factors. All right. Aside from your unique messaging, your unique brand compass, your unique who you are, and your stories and your experience and your expertise is what's going into this. Beyond that, creating clarity, relevance, and value for your audience, for your ideal audience. And I keep not going going to the slide that I want it to go to. There it goes. Okay. And so here's what I want to leave you with today. All right. When it comes to creating content for your online presence, which is really the heart of your marketing program, because your content is where you're driving your stories, your impact, your value, your thought leadership. And when it comes to that, just think, eat your vegetables. So eat is the term that Google, it's a Google term, and it has to do with search, and it has to do with how the algorithms for search are set up. They are set up for people, for what people want. And people want experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So when it comes to your content, you want to make sure to eat your vegetables. And eating your vegetables includes the preliminary work. It includes the brand compass, the personas. All of that is super important. It's super important to get it right. It's super important to take the time to do it. So think about eating your vegetables when it comes to creating content, whether you're using generative AI or not. You want to be making sure that your content has experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness baked in. This graphic I'm showing here these are called topic clusters. Some of you might know what these are, but these relate highly to content SEO. And so for content SEO, there's this great system called topic clusters and content SEO strategy, where, back when you do your brand compass and when you do your personas and your marketing plan, you want to have established what your core topics are. So your core topics are those topics that your brand, your organization, focuses on, that resonate and are relevant and create value with your audience. And so typically 4 or 5 are a great set of core topics. Those are the topics that you're going to be hyper focused on for your content, to be sharing your expertise, to be getting that trust from your audience. And in the graphic, we're really kind of looking at the science of it as well, because you've got the core topic in the middle, that's here. And that's a very generalized, long form version of that particular topic. And then you have these offshoots, which are like blog posts, and they're connected to the larger topic. So this, in essence, is your content SEO framework. And this is, and combined with Eat Your Vegetables, is going to be where you're going to have that compelling content, right? And generative AI is just going to help you get here. It's going to help you get here. It's going to, instead of this taking 5 years, which realistically is what it kind of has been taking, maybe 3 to 4 years to get, say, 5 full content topic clusters, out there on your website. And so that you're able to publish it, you're sharing it, you're attracting your ideal audience with it. It takes time. It takes time. It takes effort. That's where generative AI, and why I'm talking about it today, is because I think these messages and this communication should get out there as quickly as it possibly can. And that's where generative AI comes in to help you streamline it and to help you be more productive and to help you enhance the data, the quality of that content. And so we made it through the whole broadcast in 3 parts. If you joined us today live, thank you so much for hanging in there. And if you didn't join us live and you're looking at a recording, please keep commenting. And we'll be back for more. I will share that next week. I'm going to be on a live stream. I'm going to have a special guest from one of the nonprofit organizations that we work with. And we're going to be talking about using AI for fundraising and grant writing. And so you won't want to miss that. That's going to be next week on Tuesday this time. We'll be sending out notifications about that. So look for that. That's going to be really exciting. And I'm really looking forward to narrowing down our focus on generative AI with grant writing and larger donor fundraising and things like that. So please join us for that. And thank you again for your patience if you joined us for the live broadcast today. And I hope to see you very soon. All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody.